This lesson is about ecological models. Here are the objectives for today's lecture. Let's start by going over a few key definitions that also walk through the history of the study of ecological models as they apply to health. First, we have ecology. This is the study of relationships between organisms. Next, we have human ecology, which is the study of relationships between people and their natural, physical, and social environments. And then finally, we have social ecology, which adds a little bit more to human ecology. Social ecology is the study of relationships between people and their natural, physical, and social environments, but with greater emphasis on institutional, social, and cultural influences. So what are ecological models? These are models that specify various levels of influence on individual health and individual health behavior. By various levels of influence, we mean different things within a person and also in their surroundings that can impact their health. And we'll go over a number of examples of the different types of levels in the upcoming slides. Ecological models of health go beyond explaining behavior, which is what most health behavior theories do. They provide a hypothesis for why a health behavior is occurring. Ecological models go beyond providing this hypothesis, and they're frequently used as a blueprint or a guide for intervention development. One question that is often asked when discussing ecological models of health is, are these models theories? Do they meet the definition of health behavior theories? And the answer is no. They do not meet the criteria established for what constitutes a theory, such as having a conceptual model that specifies the relationships between constructs, being parsimonious, and so on. So ecological models are models or frameworks, but they are not theories. There are 5 core principles of ecological models that we'll cover today. The first is that multiple levels of factors influence behavior. Here is just one ecological model, and this shows an example of several of the most common levels that are specified as influencing behavior. Let's go over each one. The first level is the intrapersonal level. This is the level that is most proximal to the person. It actually is the person. It's the most proximal influence on an individual's behavior and their health. And this is factors that are internal to an individual. These include knowledge, attitudes, their education, their skills, and their experiences. All of these factors are intrapersonal in nature, and you may notice that many of these factors are actually specified as constructs in several intrapersonal level health behavior theories. The next level of influence is interpersonal processes, or interpersonal level. These are our relationships with other people in our families and in our primary social circles. So these are our friends and our relatives that we interact with on a regular basis. The next level of influence is institutional, which is also often referred to as the organizational level. This level gets at the organizations or formal social structures that we are a part of, including the schools that we go to, churches, where we work, any sort of formal organization or institution that we are a part of or that we operate within, this can also be the healthcare system, would fall under the institutional level. Next, we have community factors. The community level is defined in many ways depending on which model you're looking at and which author is describing this level. But in general, we can describe the community level as relationships between formal and informal organizations within a community. This could be the relationships between a nonprofit group and churches, or a particular social group and school, other organizations. One thing to note about the community level is that things like social norms and media influence are often classified under the community level. Sometimes this is confusing for students who would think that social norms might be classified at the interpersonal level, and you could make a case for that. But typically when we think about community level factors, we think about more broad social influences rather than at the interpersonal level when we're talking more about the people that you have daily interactions with. So when you are affected by just general ways of thinking and ways of doing things, that is more often a broader influence, and we classify it under the community level. The final level depicted in this particular ecological model is the policy level. These are any sort of laws, regulations, formal rules that you operate under that could impact your health. My question for you after viewing this particular ecological model is there something missing? When you think about all of the factors that influence your health and your behaviors, and you look at this ecological model, are there any other factors or levels that you may add? I want you to pause and think about this for a few minutes. Let me tell you one very common level of influence that is missing from this model. It's the environmental level. We are affected by our physical environment, which we also call the built environment. We are impacted by the physical structures around us, the sidewalks, the lights on the sidewalks, how close our houses are built to grocery stores or to community parks, or the availability of community parks in our neighborhood. So the environmental factor is often considered to be the most external circle in ecological models. Moving on to the second core principle of ecological models, which is that influences interact across levels. Let's think of an example about how this may work in real life. Thinking about an individual's exercise behaviors. An individual may really want to exercise. So at the intrapersonal level, they may have a desire. They may know that they really need to exercise, but they still might not be exercising. And that may be because of a number of factors at different levels. One might be interpersonal relationships. So if you live with somebody who doesn't want you to exercise, they're a negative influence on you. When you go to put on your shoes to go for a walk or go to the gym, they say, no, don't go, spend time with me instead, or let's do this instead, and they're not supportive of you. That might get in the way. It might counteract those favorable interpersonal level variables. Continuing this example, another factor that may affect a person's exercise behavior is their environment. There's an example of this in the assigned book chapter for this week, where it showed that individuals with a strong desire to exercise are more likely to do so if they live in an environment that is conducive to physical activity, such as an environment that has greater availability of parks and safe walking trails. So different influences at different levels may work together to increase a person's likelihood of engaging in a behavior, or they may be in opposition and decrease a person's likelihood of engaging in a behavior. I want you to take a minute now and pause and just think about an example of how different interactions relate to your health area of interest. If you have a particular population or a particular health issue that you are interested in, think about how that population is affected at a number of different levels and how these levels may interact in a negative or a positive way.